Today we are going to study types of solubility. In the previous video we have already studied the definition of solubility. We know that solubility of a substance, it is the maximum amount of substance that can be dissolved in specific amount of solvent at a specific temperature. Already we have studied this definition by taking the example of salt which is added into water. So there are two types of solubility. One is solubility of solid in a liquid. Another one is solubility of a gas in liquid. So in both of the cases, the solvent is liquid here and solute is solid and gas. So we are going to study it one by one. So now let us study solubility of solid in a liquid. So here solute is a solid and solvent is a liquid. So a solute dissolves in a solvent if the intermolecular interactions are similar in the two. So if there is a solute which is a solid which is added into solvent which is a liquid, then that solute is soluble in that liquid only if the intermolecular interactions in both that solute and solvent are same. Let me take example of water. So water is made up of water molecules, and now I am going to add some salt into this. So this salt is also made up of some molecules. So here solute is a solid and solvent is a liquid, that is water. Now we know that water is a ionic solvent. So the type of interaction here is ionic. And if I take example of salt, let me take sodium chloride. It is also ionic in nature. So since there is ionic interaction in the solid solute and also there is ionic interaction in solvent, that is water, both the intermolecular interactions are same here. So in the water molecules the interaction is ionic, and in case of salt particles also the interaction is ionic. So since both the interactions in case of solid solute and the liquid solvent is same, in this case this type of solid, it is soluble in the liquid. So that's the meaning of this statement. So in general we can state it as like dissolves like. Here like suggests that same type of interaction. If it is ionic, this is also ionic. So always like dissolves like. Now let us study the factors which are affecting the solubility of solid in a liquid. So this is similar to in general what we have studied, factors affecting solubility. So already we know that the nature of solute, nature of solvent, temperature and pressure. All these four factors affect solubility of any solid in any liquid. Next we have to study a term called dissolution. So in the topic solubility of solid in a given liquid, we have to study a term called as dissolution. So let me take a solvent to which sodium chloride salt is added. So I am going to add 1 or 2 spoons of sodium chloride into a solvent, let it be water. Maybe 100 or 200 ml of water is taken and little amount of salt is added into it, and you know that this salt is going to be dissolved in this solution, and as time follows the concentration of sodium chloride in this solvent or in the solution goes on increasing, and this process it is called as dissolution. As more and more solute is added, that is solid is added into the liquid, the concentration of that solid will go on increasing, and this process is called as dissolution. So we will see the definition. When a solid solute it is added to the solvent, some solute dissolves and its concentration increases in the solution, and this process is known as dissolution. So this is the definition of dissolution. A solid solute when added into liquid solvent, that solute will dissolve and concentration of that solute in the solution goes on increasing, and that process it's called as dissolution. Next, we have to study another term called as crystallization. As the name tells, here we have the word crystal. So consider a solution already added with the solute. Some solute is added already into the solvent to give some solution. Let me take sodium chloride solution. Already we have a sodium chloride solution which is got by adding some sodium chloride solid into water which is taken as solvent. Now further, from outside, if you add extra sodium chloride salt or solute, now the solid particles present in this sodium chloride that will come into contact with the sodium chloride molecules which are present in the solution. They are going to collide with the sodium chloride molecules present in the solution. That leads to separation of sodium chloride crystals from this solution. So some crystals will begin to separate from this solution, and that process it is called as crystallization. So we'll see the definition. Some solute particles in solution collide with the solid solute particles and get separated out of solution. This process is known as crystallization. Next, we have to study about saturated solution. So let me take, like previous example, 100 ml of water. I am going to add 1 spoon of sodium chloride into this and dissolve it. Further, I am going to add second spoon. It will also dissolve in this water. And when I add third spoon, I feel like it is not dissolving in the given amount of water, and such type of solution is called as saturated solution. So whenever a solute is added into solvent, at first we feel that it is dissolving in that solvent, and when you go on adding more and more solute, the easiness with which that solute dissolves in that solvent becomes less, and at particular stage, whatever you do, you cannot dissolve that solute in that solvent, and at that stage we get a saturated solution. After that, you cannot dissolve any amount of solute in that given amount of solvent. Here the amount of solvent is constant, that should be fixed, it should be specific, and we are going to increase the amount of solute added so that we will get a saturated solution. So that's the meaning of the term saturated. It is the limit. So we'll see the definition. The stage where the concentration of solute in solution will remain constant under the given conditions, that's called as saturated solution. This definition can be understood like this. So here it's given that the stage where concentration of solute in a solution will remain constant, because up to certain stage you can dissolve the solute in the solvent, but after reaching the saturated stage you cannot further dissolve any solute in that solvent. So we can tell that at that stage the concentration of solute in any solution will remain constant. In the previous example, if I take till second spoon, it will dissolve in water. If I add the third spoon, it is not dissolving in water. So that's said to be saturated solution. So here the concentration of solute will be remaining constant at the second spoon. So whatever may be the given conditions, temperature and pressure. Or you can also define a solution in which no more solute can be dissolved at the same temperature and pressure is called as saturated solution. A solution in which no more salt can be dissolved in the given solvent at the constant temperature and pressure, it is called as saturated solution. So you have to just know this much. Saturated solution is the stage in the solution after which you cannot dissolve further amount of solvent in that solid in that solvent. That is a limit. And at that stage the concentration of that solute in the solution will remain constant, because you cannot add extra solute into that solution. So that's about saturated solution. The solution which is in dynamic equilibrium with the undissolved solute is the saturated solution and contains maximum amount of solute dissolved in a given amount of solvent. So we know that after certain stage the excess solute cannot be dissolved in that solvent. So saturated solution is a solution where there is maximum amount of solute present in the solvent. It is the limit, it is the maximum amount. So thus the concentration of solute in such a solution is its solubility. So in any saturated solution, the concentration is nothing but its solubility. The highest solubility of the solute possible, that itself tells about the concentration of that solution. If second spoon is the limit for preparing particular solution as given in the previous example, that 2 spoons of salt, that amount itself tells about the concentration of that solution. So that's about saturated solution. Now let's see what is unsaturated solution. As the name tells, it's opposite of saturated. It is called as unsaturated solution. So it is a solution in which more solute can be dissolved at the same temperature. So consider a particular solvent like previous example. Let me take 100 ml of water at particular temperature. We know that the third spoon of salt or sodium chloride is not dissolving in this solvent, but second spoon is dissolvable in this solvent. Or let me take, I'm going to add first spoon of salt into this solvent. So now that first spoon of salt or solid, it will dissolve in this liquid or solvent. Now further there is possibility of I am adding second spoon of salt and that getting dissolved in this solvent. So that's called as unsaturated solution. So when I add 1 spoon of salt into this 100 ml of water, now I get unsaturated solution because further there is possibility of adding second spoon of salt and that is getting dissolved in that amount of solvent. So that's called as unsaturated solution, a solution in which more solute can be still dissolved in that solvent at a particular temperature. So that's about unsaturated solution. So under the topic solubility of solid in a liquid, we have to understand about type of interactions which are responsible for solubility and the terms like dissolution, crystallization, saturated solution and unsaturated solution. So this is about solubility of solid in a liquid. Thank you.